Hello, this is Akovia, and I'm back with part 4 of the Gimp from Scratch tutorial series. And as talked about in the last part 3, we're going to work on the logo. This is going to take a little bit more time, so I went ahead and did a few things to prepare to speed this up. One of the things I did is I like darker themes, so I added an operating system theme, and Gimp will show your theme through, but Gimp has its own themes as well. So I just want to demonstrate a couple things real quick. If you change your operating system theme, you can see how Gimp picks that up. So the reason I went with an OS theme instead of one of Gimp themes that is designed just for Gimp is it allows me to use the small theme, which gives me the smaller buttons and the smaller icons and gives me more space. So if you want to I also downloaded a theme pack for Gimp so you can see and play with the themes to find something you like. But once you download the theme pack, you'll download themes into your Gimp 2.8 folder and then go to the themes subfolder, and these are where the themes are stored. And when you restart Gimp, it'll find those. So if we go to themes, you can also see here, I'm on the small, which gives you the small icons, but if you picked one of the other ones, the icons get bigger. But they have some neat themes in here, and you can play around and find something that works for you. I went this way. So that's why things look a little different. I also added some scripts. I'll make those available. Only needed one, but I added all of the same type. And also put in my shortcuts, copying those over from my main Gimp installation. So that should speed up things instead of having to make them on the fly. And the last thing I did is I added a font. And to add a font to Gimp, you just download it and drop it in the fonts folder under your Gimp 2.8 settings folder. So that's all I did. Now this won't be available to the operating system. It'll only be available to Gimp. So you should back this up somewhere else in case you want to remove this from Gimp later. You'll have it if you want to use it again. So those are the things that went ahead and did ahead of time. Also, for fonts, just to bring this up, I had done a quick tutorial on how to do some fonts before, and if you go to our forums and go to the fonts, it's the only post, but you can see this video how to use font identification sites and use their images in case you don't have the font. So this is good information if you're going to be making a bunch of logos. Alright, with that, let's get started. I'm going to try and move a little quicker because this is going to take some time. Hopefully you've had time to familiarize yourself with Gimp a little bit more and should be able to follow along. Don't forget to if you can't tell what I'm doing with shortcuts, you can see how I've recreated it. You can see my key presses here. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that layer boundary, and I'm going to cut out this logo, and I'm going to crop the image to my selection, and here we go. So the first thing you want to do is try and identify this font, which if you follow that tutorial that I showed you, that's how I went about it, basically isolating some text, and I used all things, put them on the same line here, and just made it black on white and inputted it. So I couldn't find an exact match, but I found something really close, and this is something you can do from time to time, is just adjusting a font that's really close. This wouldn't be a difficult one to actually trace out with the path tool, but depending on what you're doing, sometimes that can take a lot longer if you got something close and you can just modify it. So I want to show you how to work with paths a little bit more today. So the first thing I want to do, go ahead and duplicate a layer here, put some background layers. The font that I identified was called Commodore. So with our font tool, text tool, or hit the letter T. If you already have Gimp open and you want to load a new font, the way to do that is to go down here and open the font selection dialog, which will bring this tab open over here. And when you hit refresh, it'll look in the font folder for Gimp for any new fonts. So you don't have to restart Gimp to load up new fonts. That's first and foremost. I wanted to make sure you knew how to do that. So I know I want Commodore. You can select it here. You can select it here. I'm going to grab it. Commodore Extended. Alright. So I'm going to use this text tool. And actually, yeah, I'm going to make sure it's on dynamic, which will fit the bounding box to the text that you type. So let's also pick a color that gives a good contrast so we can size it properly. Alright, so let's do that, and I don't know, let's try that. And if you use these corners, you can even use these, but sometimes they're hard to grab. This will allow you to move it around without escaping the text tool. Otherwise, you'd have to escape, hit your move tool, move it around that way, and then go back into text. So we'll just use these, and that's pretty close actually. Let's go to 89. That works. Alright, as you can tell, it's italicized, so we're going to select that and hit our italic, and that's, like I said, it's not an exact match, but I want to show you how to manipulate the paths we can create, and it may save you some time, especially on some difficult fonts. So you can see it's sheared. It's not sheared enough, even though it's italicized. So what we're going to do is, the first thing is we're going to turn this text to a path. And you just click that and it'll show up in the path tool here. So let me get out of this, go to our path, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, so here's our path, and we want to adjust it a little bit. You can use most of your manipulation tools, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. Let's go into our Paths tab. If we just select this path and go, say we want to shear it, and where's the shear tool? Here we go. If you click that, it defaults to a layer, but we want to work with a path. So if I do that, you can see that it's going to shear the path as it relates to the entire canvas. And that's not really what I want. So I'm going to cancel here. I mean, you could drag and you can see the path. Actually, the path isn't moving. I have to show you another trick. The way to isolate this is to do path to selection first. Then you'll see your marching ants. Now when we go to shear it, it only selects that text, which is what we want. Get rid of some of these lines. So you can move it this way, or you can do it up here. Get more precise, and -5 looks pretty good. So as you can also see, the selection, the marching ants, are still in the original position because we only sheared the path, not the selection. That would be this guy right here. So if you want to modify it further, make sure you remember to reselect the path and then make modifications from there. Otherwise it won't work. Alright, so let's get rid of our selection, and that's pretty close. So we're going to start there. Let's go ahead and get all of our text out here. Oh, help if I learned how to spell. Alright, and let's see. That looks pretty good. And we're going to italicize it. Alright. And obviously that's a lot smaller. Pretty good. Actually, it's probably one less. Let's try it there. Good. Italicize that. And on to the next. Actually, this all right here, what I'm going to do is I'll end up duplicating this layer and just resizing it to fit here. And I'll show you, it'll save us some time in the end because I'm going to adjust this first so I don't have to do two adjustments. And we'll finish up here. So let's try like 125. See where that, no, way off. One more. Good. Alright, so let's italicize that, and we're going to turn these into paths. Go to our paths, and one by one, what we're going to do is select the path. We're going to go to our shear tool, and -5 was what we selected. So go to here, select the path, so on and so forth. Double check, yep. And last but not least, select him, shear. Alright. Unselect everything. And now what we want to do, oops, we'll start with the first one. To bring this into the fold and make it match up a little bit better, the easiest way is going to be using some guidelines for anything that's not rounded. This will give us real easy points to snap to when we're manipulating our nodes. So we use our path tool, which is B for me anyway, and I want to show you, you can select well, actually what I want to do is I was trying this earlier and for some reason I haven't figured it out. Usually, and I think it has something to do since I'm doing this in a virtual machine, so you shouldn't have this problem, but you should be able to, with your path tool, just hit the Alt key and you should be able to move an entire path, which is this solid letter here, but for some reason it wants to drag my whole screen. Luckily there's a way around that. If I just go to the, instead of using the Alt key to go to the move, I can just put it there, and as you can see I can move the individual paths that way. And another neat trick actually, if you just go down here, it'll stay bound to that guideline, which is what we want. It snaps, as you can see, so we don't have it mismatched a little bit. Alright, we're going to go back into design mode. What I'm going to do here is select multiple nodes using the shift key and drag those up together. Keeps everything neat and tidy to do it that way. And that actually looks pretty good. I mean, we can also, you can really manipulate as you see fit. I like the single there instead of the double. Alright, so that's that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and work on this one a little bit and show you how to deal with a little bit harder letters. That was pretty easy. And then I'll finish it by pausing the video so we can speed things up. Alright, so let's go to things. Get this one done. Let's turn off our layer so we can see. And let's go ahead. We don't need these up here anymore. So let's reuse a couple of these. And you can see which lines we want to match up to. Doesn't work for radiuses, but this will still save us a bunch of time. Actually, this one should be one below. There we go. And we'll do the S. And I'm sure I'm missing one. I always do. The bottom of the G there. And we can start there. We can add them as we need them. Alright, so first thing I can do is I'll move this whole thing down. Do that here. Oops. Actually, I want to use the move tool to move the entire path by holding the control, and now it moves everything, not just the one single letter. Alright, and the other thing I want to do is bring that up 1 pixel. There we go. It is a little big, but I'm not going to fix it for now. It's 1 pixel too big. No biggie. Alright, so back to here, and what I want to do here, grab these 4 nodes, bring them down, and grab and stretch these out a little bit. So as you can see, since it's already placed, it's probably a lot quicker than trying to draw these out by hands, and your angles will be dead on and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go, try to go fairly quickly here. And fix this if we want. Come on. I don't know what is going. There we go. Just misclicking. Now you can also use your arrow keys, and if you use the shift arrow, it jumps in bigger fractions. For this one, actually what I want to do, I want to bring a guideline so I don't inadvertently take it up or down. So go back to my path tool. This will make it easier. And so you can just do it this way. We're going to move a little quicker. Get rid of one of those, and same for this one. Alright, so this one, let's move it over a little bit. Oops. Let's do it this way. That's pretty close. While I'm in move mode, I'll go ahead and move this one over too. Alright, go back to design mode, and this, oops. Now, just a pro tip here, if you click your mouse and you don't stop all the way and just kind of drag it, you may see me backing up sometimes because it's very sensitive and it'll move the node. And see how it just did right there? You see it move back when I undo. Your mouse has to be completely still when you click on it, otherwise it'll move and throw everything out. So it's the little idiosyncrasies of the path tool. I've actually brought that up and hope they will work on lowering the sensitivity so you can move faster. Alright, that was the easy parts. Let's bring that in a little bit, get rid of this guy, bring him in a little bit. The other thing is you can move these individually, of course, and you can get the job done that way too. But if it's out of whack with this one, it'll leave a little kink here that can be noticed. So whenever possible, and it's not a sharp turn like right here where it's an angle, you want a smooth radius, use your shift modifier and you'll find that both of them move in harmony, and then you won't get little kinks. So bring that down. That's fine. Get rid of that handle for now. And this actually does drop below that line. So I'm definitely not going for perfection here, but I want to show it good enough that you get a good idea. Bring that around. Same here. All right. Key to placing nodes and figuring out which ones you need will come in time, but you're just looking to use the least amount of nodes that you can get away with, less chance for little kinks in the lines, and just makes the path a lot smoother. So sometimes I find it easier just to get rid of some of these and go from scratch. Center him up a little bit more. Now if your nodes are catching on these on your guidelines and it's not allowing you to place it where you want, you can always turn off snap to guides. I have a shortcut, and sometimes you need that. I think we're fine here, but it's good to know. Way too many nodes here. Alright. Actually, I don't want that one either. Now here's where I'm just going to pull out one, but try and keep it lined up as best as you can to its other handle to avoid problems. Alright. Pretty good. And was still probably a little bit quicker than placing all your nodes. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. This is a simple font, but on more difficult fonts, finding something close definitely save you some time in the end. But I just want to show you how to manipulate paths to a better degree. Alright, and one thing I'll do, turn off our guides. turn off our nodes. Oops. And show our paths. And now we can look at it and make sure without any distraction of the background. And see, I could clean this up here a little bit. It's not terrible, but this is the best way to see if you've placed your nodes properly and if there are any problems that you need to fix. So I'm going to actually name these layers. Which would be a good habit because sometimes it's hard to distinguish, especially when you get a bunch. So it's just good practice. And before I go away, I'll actually show you this part too. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to turn off all the other layers. We'll go back, turn this on so we can line it up. Get rid of those. Alright, so I'm going to use my move tool with the control hit down here and there as well, and show you so we don't have to start from scratch with that and modify that. I'm going to select it and I'm going to use the scale tool, which is Shift T, or oops, I need to do it. There we go. Now we got our marching ants. It was on a layer that I couldn't edit because it was text. Alright. Now the scale tool is here. And so I hate all the still on the default grid lines. Alright. So we can drag this around like this and that actually changes the path. If you hold control, it'll keep the aspect ratio proper, which is what we want. Or you can manually do it here and lock it, and now it will keep that proper. Alright, and I'm going to cancel because I'm actually not on my path there. So let's try this again. You should be able to see the actual path move, which now we do. Scale. And looks pretty good. I could move this over a little bit. Now, we could tweak that if we want, but for all purposes, that's just fine. Still easier than drawing it or typing out the text and italicizing it and going through all the motions. We just duplicate anything we can reuse and adjust it to our needs. So I'll finish up the text here, and we'll come back and we'll tackle this bullseye. So I shall see you soon.